demonic angel, and I'm here tonight with a few videos. I'm going to film in a row, and I have just drawn the tarot pick a card where I do 3 objects and profile the group of cards. I do different spreads. I try to mix it up with decks and spreads, so it's just a lot of fun that way. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that the next day that I film, not necessarily my next video. Just so I can kind of get that in at the front of the month. Definitely looking forward to the live stream. What else? Oh yeah, I was showing off some of my ritual objects and books, and it ended up being almost an hour. But that's okay. So anyway, I thought I would show something that a really good friend made for me my past birthday, and it's totally homemade. And if you're familiar with a particular subculture, you'll kind of recognize the symbol here. I really like my pipe. It looks like I never clean it, but I just cleaned it today. It just, these kinds of pipes get dirty really fast. There's a lot of cheap versions of this out there, like where you could probably buy, a pipe like this that just might have a company logo for like, $10 and a pack of screens, silver screens. Yeah, I'll buy a pack of those and then, probably replace them more often than I'd like to admit, but it really depends. Sometimes I just like smoking a pipe. Kind of has a masculine sort of thinking, logical feel, so it's kind of like, it's a lot of fun when I'm alone to, just toke up and, really think deeply about things, which, of course, that's like stoner, kind of stuff. But hey, I think that's it's such an enjoyable pursuit to really, I feel like I know things more when I think about them. It's like it makes experiences deeper for me, and that thinking element is really important. And I kind of associate that with like masculinity. We all have that yin-yang within us. So, anyway, that's kind of, smoking the peace pipe and thinking. So kind of along those lines, but not necessarily after smoking the pipe. Maybe, but sometimes I'll write down, my ideas. So just whenever it occurs. I have gone over ghosts, behaviors, and some kind of, common questions or I don't know, maybe myths that I've heard about ghosts, and I'm talking about like the Western culture idea of ghosts, that haunt cemeteries, heavy footsteps, basically, disembodied voices, orbs, lights turning on and off, doors opening and closing by themselves, things like that. So just that typical haunted behavior, I kind of like to, because I come at the occult and witchcraft from a personal perspective, then I really like to match that up with what's happened to me. And I've seen just a lot of my interactions with ghosts have, similarities to some of those ways we typically talk about the deceased, and I never really saw kind of deeper until I learned about the occult and Buddhism and everything. So that was my search for answers for all these phenomena. And but one of them that I see when I go to cemeteries, particularly, it's been in other places like just nature. Even houses, I've encountered this And I'm talking about like where I go and I'm going to feel a place out, be the psychic, medium, and really get my feel for what's going on. Ghosts like to basically hang out in trees a lot. And I think, oh yeah, I'm going to call this video series Ghost Behavior 101. And I thought, even though I've briefly touched on some of them, I just, will go into it. And even if it sounds goofy or sort of hippie, I think it's a lot of fun to take it apart. These are generalizations, not something that I see with every, deceased person or spirit, but that, is common enough that I think, kind of you could make a profile or a pattern about it. But yeah, it's almost like when I project and I see the dead, like let's say at a cemetery, I'm kind of scoping the place out. They like to be off of the ground. They're not grounded because they're not alive, so they don't have bodies and they can't ground. They're not real. They're not in the physical plane. And as you know what I think, when they do attach to the physical plane, they can only do so partially. That is why, they're just, they look like they're half apparitions, or you might just see a head, you might just see legs. But there's always something, not alive about them because they're not grounded. So, that weightlessness, I think, kind of makes them have a tendency to be above us. Even really generally, I see a lot of it like, above, like even let's say, like an average height guy, maybe like let's say 6 feet tall, above that, and just not too much farther, but like maybe say 6 inches or something, and so it's just a little bit too tall, I guess, to be where you'd think like a grounded standing human being, like their voice would project from that angle. So there's that weightlessness because they're on the astral plane, closest to the physical plane. They're definitely able to be close, but then hey, I'm free of your my body, and I don't think it's so much a conscious choice among spirits, but really just that they get around very fast, obviously, like air, because they for the most part are made of the element of air. So they're just kind of, they like to hang out above us, especially like that. And I have actually heard a lot of people over the years, and I've been doing witchcraft. I'm a hereditary witch, but really talking about this for a long time too. People describe where they'll say, well, we heard a voice and it sounds above them somehow, or behind and to the side and above, like in that kind of, like if you were like trying like back this way, but above you at an angle. That's kind of, I hear that over and over and over again when people describe what it was like, because during paranormal investigations, people will say, well, what did you hear? No, what did you experience? And so it's like trying to describe that, I find groups have like a tendency to like to discuss that way. Oh, it sounded above us, in the air like that. So yeah, I think that kind of just has to do with that weightlessness in general, and just the quality of air that they really are made of. Even though they're so close to the physical plane, they're really, the element of air. That's in the sense that they're really fast moving. It is like that fast kind of a pace for them. So if they do happen to be conscious, and let's say like in the cemetery, and they're just kind of watching and observing people, a lot of times I see them do it from trees, like to me, I've seen it look like I looked up in trees, and there's like a guy. This one time I saw like a guy, like a teenager guy, just laying straight in this branch in a tree, like horizontal, and like with his legs crossed. So it's like he was like laying across one branch, and just slightly turning his head down to look at people and just going by. I mean, to me, he had that grayish, death appearance, which is pretty normal for ghosts to, look like as well. But we'll go. I mean, we'll just go into that as well later. But that kind of just watching, like just laying in the trees, sitting in the trees, hopping. Little kid spirits probably like to hop from tree to tree. I think that hide and seek element, I have experienced actually hearing voices like that where it sounded like a boy and a girl playing hide and seek, and that is kind of what my basically findings were, that's what they were, deceased siblings. So they're still playing childlike games like that. And that's really amazing to experience. But yeah, I that's something I thought people would like to know, that what in general, like they like to hang out above us in trees like that. And it really depends as well, like if they're super tied to like a home or an object, or a person with physical body, they're going to be more like at a human level, closer to the ground, because they're maybe they're feeding, or attaching to somebody that way, and so they're really close, because they're kind of sharing, it's like two consciousnesses in one body. That's the way I would describe it when people and spirits become attached to each other. Anyway, that is Ghost Behavior 101, Episode 1, and thanks for coming to my Demonic Angel channel. Thank you.